Imagine you're looking at a balancing scale with everything you do for other people on one side and everything you do for yourself on the other side. If it isn't balanced, maybe it's time to spend a little more time on you. And therapy is a great place to start. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online who can help you find that balance and stick to it. Visit BetterHelp.com/positive to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/positive.
What you watch depends on what kind of mood you're in. Sometimes you're craving comedies like Friends or South Park, and sometimes you're more into dramas like HBO's Succession and House of the Dragon. There's also cooking shows like Chopped and Beat Bobby Flay, and even movies like The Lord of the Rings and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Well, Max is the streaming destination that has the best of entertainment for whatever mood you're in anytime. And plans start at as little as $9.99 a month. Max, the one to watch. Subscription required. Visit Max.com.
All right, welcome back into Sports Daily, everybody. We do jump right into our weekly visit with Chelsa Messenger. Chelsa, how are you this morning?
Hey, doing well. Got an exciting game one of the NBA Finals on deck tonight, so I am very excited for that.
Let's start there. I see this, and look, I like Denver in the series as much as anybody else. But 8.5 points tonight? Are you kidding me? 8.5 points? If Miami's going to win games or a game or whatever, this feels like one that they have a shot in. But 8.5 points, even money line aside, which is like almost 3-1 right now at BetMGM. 8.5 points to the Heat seems a little strange if we've watched anything happen this postseason. Am I crazy, or do you like Denver there?
I think this is why I am not officially putting my money on Denver minus 8.5, but I think if I were to lean a direction, it would still be Denver. Look at Miami and look at the road that they have had to play to get to here, and look at the nice 4-lane highway that the Nuggets had to get to their place. So it just feels to me it's in a bad spot for Miami, a team that is probably going to be a little tired after a 7-game series with the Celtics. And also, I just feel like the series is a really bad matchup for the Heat, a team that doesn't have a ton of size. I know they have Bam Adebayo, but other than that, it's not a very big team. And I don't know what Coach Spo is cooking up to try to stop Nikola Jokic, but it feels like schematically there's no way to stop him. And even if you slow him down, you got Jamal Murray waiting in the wings to drop 35, it seems like, on any given night. So it just, every single time I relook at this series, because you're right, the Heat have been such a great story, and the 8.5 kind of jumps off the page. But to me, the matchup, just everything goes in the direction of the Nuggets for me. And even in the first game, I think the altitude's going to play a factor for a team that's already tired. You got to get used to that. And also, this is not the coaching mismatch that we saw against the Celtics. It's not Joe Mazzulla. It is Michael Malone, who's been unheralded, I think, by most people, but a very solid head coach. I think I would lean towards the Nuggets laying the 8.5.
And when you look at this particular game and you see this line going up and up and up and up, it gives me pause. I'll tell you what it makes me feel like, Chelsea. It makes me feel like there's something I don't know. And what I know is it's going to be a terrific finals. I really believe it's going to be point spread or no point spread. I think it's going to be a really fun one to watch. But there's something that somebody knows with this point spread going up and up and up. There's something that we don't know. What is it?
I think it's just a mismatch that we're seeing that I think it's going to be really tough for the Heat to go against the Nuggets. And I know you guys are a big college basketball market, so I'm going to put it in those terms. Look at the NCAA tournament. Look at the run that San Diego State had in this last March Madness, where it was an incredible underdog run. They beat all these top teams, but then they ran into a buzzsaw in the national championship against a UConn team that looked so consistent in every single game. I'm pretty sure they weren't tested in a single game in the NCAA tournament. That's what this NBA Finals reminds me of. The Nuggets look consistent and dominant, because has there been one bad game for the Nuggets? It feels like no. Like, they've lost some games, but even in those losses, Nikola Jokic had 53 in one of those losses to the Suns. So it just feels like the Nuggets are the more consistent team, because if you look at the teams that the Heat have beaten, they've been very talented, but not very consistent. First series against the Bucks didn't have Giannis in game one. Also, Giannis was pretty banged up in most of those games. And then second series, they had the Knicks, who offensively are very challenged. The Nuggets are not that. Number one offense in the NBA postseason from the team. And then you see the Celtics, who have an extremely high ceiling, but are very inconsistent, and a rookie head coach. So I don't think it's the same level of competition. I think the Nuggets are a huge step up in competition and kind of similar to what we saw from UConn facing off with San Diego State in the national championship for college basketball.
Well, let's look at it, put the point spread aside here and talk about other ways to look at this game. The two stars, Jimmy Butler and Nikola Jokic, both right now, their point totals at 27.5. Are there any props that have been standing out to you guys that look like values?
I think Jimmy Butler's going to be a little worn down, and I could be completely wrong here because playoff Jimmy is definitely a thing. But in the head-to-head markets, you can get Jamal Murray head-to-head with Jimmy Butler, and he's plus 125. Jamal Murray is, to have more points than Jimmy Butler in game one. And I think the Heat are going to do their best, at least to try to slow down Nikola Jokic. But the problem is Nikola Jokic is such a talented passer that he's going to kick it out to Jamal Murray. And Jamal Murray has proven that he's good in the big moments. In fact, he's had 4 career 20-point fourth quarters, which is the most of any player in the last 25 years. So I know people don't talk about Jamal Murray, but he's absolutely on the same level as Jimmy Butler. So I'll take him in the head-to-head points category over Jimmy Butler tonight.
There's not been very much talk about elevation. Mile High City, Denver, Colorado, versus a team that's literally at 0. I mean, Miami is at 0 elevation. I'm wondering, do you have a feel for, right now the point spread is 8.5. How much of that 8.5 is elevation? We have not heard. I think I've only heard in all the banter that I've listened to over the course of this championship series being set up, I've only heard elevation mentioned once. One time, and I'm sitting there shaking my head, and from someone who's in Colorado quite a bit. Listen, elevation affects everybody until you get used to it. How much of the point spread is elevation on as you would see it, or is there any way to even know that?
Maybe it's in there a little, but I think it's based on metrics, and stats. And I think even between the lines, this is a big mismatch. So I think it's based on that. And also the fact that Denver has been one of the better home teams in all of the NBA. I mean, that's why they're staying in the NBA Finals. But also, they were an absolute wagon during the regular season. I want to say they're undefeated on their home court in the postseason as well. But you're right. It definitely is factored into the home court advantage, but that's always kind of put in the line as well. We saw it in the Celtics series where this line was about the same, 8.5 when facing the Heat. And normally I would say, hey, the Heat have been covering these big numbers, but I think this is a different level. So maybe I'm wrong here, and 8.5 seems like a lot, but if you think about the elevation and how that may wear them down over the course of the game, maybe you feel like the Heat, take them in the first half, but maybe lay off the full game.
Yeah, just the Nuggets have beaten the Heat twice this year. The game in Denver, they beat them by 5. The game in Miami, they beat them by 4. So take that for what it's worth. All right, Chelsa, anything else we need to look at with the finals? We've also got Stanley Cup. We've got baseball. Anything, though, that we can't miss with the NBA tonight?
I think if you like the Nuggets, you need to make your series bet right now. Because if you do get a Nuggets win tonight, those prices are going to go way up. So I think my official play is going to be the Nuggets in 5. I think it's the most popular pick, but I like it. I do think the Heat will steal one game, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's a sweep either. So I'm pretty hard on the Nuggets. I know. So it's either going to be a Nuggets sweep or Nuggets in 5. That is my prediction.
All right, anything from hockey or baseball we need to be on as we look? The Stanley Cup doesn't start for a little while. Baseball's, of course, every day. Any other bets we need to be making today?
I'll be on an under between the Padres and the Marlins, 2 of the worst offenses over the last month, and also really hot trends towards the under. Both of these teams have been super hot to the under in this situation. The Marlins, one of the best home teams to the under in all of baseball, and the Padres, despite all the big names in their lineups, one of the best under teams when playing on the road. Two good pitchers today. Joe Musgrove, somebody who's thrown a no-hitter. He's yet to find his stride this year, but still he gets to face a Marlins lineup that's bottom 5 in most statistical categories. And then on the other end, you have Jesus Luzardo, throwing for the Marlins. Their young ace can certainly miss some bats, one of the best strikeout throwers on that team. So I will take the under 8 between the Marlins and the Padres.
Well, I've got one quick question for our buddy Jad Chambers, who's sitting right across the table from me flipping switches. And Jad, you got a question I know you do about hockey. Hockey is his game. He loves hockey. But what's the question you have for Chelsea for a hockey bet?
I was just wondering if there was anything special on hockey bets going on that you've been keeping your eye on. I've been looking at this particular finals for quite a while now, and everything's been going so unexpectedly. I got to admit that, or I've got to expect that the betting world is just probably hasn't seen anything like this for a while. It's been kind of an unusual series so far, or tournament so far.
I would say hockey's probably one of those that we see underdog runs a little more frequently just because teams get hot down the stretch. Remember that season with the St. Louis Blues where they fired their head coach like half the way into the season and then went on to win the Stanley Cup? And we also have seen these huge upsets in the first round looking at the Bruins this year. I think a couple of years ago it was the Tampa Bay Lightning. But let me be clear. I'm not a hockey person. I don't have a ton of depth when it comes to knowledge. So this is people's money we're talking about. So I'm going to step to the side when it comes to hockey.
Well, there you go. Yeah. All right.
It is wild. That's why everybody loves the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hockey is a great sport that I don't know any of the players anymore. That time has passed me. But, man, when they're on late and I'm down, working, I just flip it on, and whatever it is entertaining. It has been wild, though. Jad, I go to BetQL. That's what I do if I ever want to look at hockey.
Exactly.
I'm like, what do they think?
Right.
Well, Chelsea, we appreciate it. Any other can't misses today before we let you go?
I think that's about it. Small slate in baseball. Thursday's not the best day, but NBA Finals, I am very excited to see how this game turns out.
We are too. And we'll be, I think, 2, maybe 3 games in by the time we talk to you next week, see if there's any other ways to attack it. We appreciate it, Chelsa. Let's talk again next week.
Thanks for having me.
That was the host of the Daily Tip and Audacy Sports Betting Insider, Chelsa Messenger. Insider Calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Speaking of, even a wager that misses can still be a slam dunk with BetMGM, an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. Place a same-game parlay wager with 4 legs or more on any NBA Finals game. If you miss one leg, you'll receive up to $25 back in bonus bets. Just log into your account, download the BetMGM app, and sign up today to get started. Take the court with confidence when you parlay with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly and offer resources to help you make appropriate choices. BetMGM.com for T's and C's. 21 plus, Kansas only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. We'll be right back. More Sports Daily coming your way.
Hey, can you hear me? Okay, good. Well, so can your potential customers. Right here on your Audacy station. You might be used to skipping social ads, but you are still listening to me right now. And so are your clients. To learn how to drive more business and how Audacy can help get your message to your customers, visit stateofaudio.com. That's stateofaudio.com.